Hello, everybody. This is Nick Totero, Professor of Information Technologies and Computer Science, Lakeland Community College. All right, in this video, we're going to explore one aspect of the program, Autopsy. In other videos, we'll look at other things, but this one, we're going to keep it really simple. Let me go up to my screen, kind of explain what is going on, do a little pre-scenario situation. All right, what you're looking at here is I've already created the file structure for my autopsy case. You can see I just called it 092123A. That's just the date. Don't worry about this, one of my little nomenclatures. The course I'm working with and me, the individual. Inside this file structure, I loaded a DD image. I basically imaged a flash drive. And don't worry about the name of the flash drive, GPS images. What is inside that flash drive is real simple. I took a series of photos. I took it off my phone and I downloaded it to a flash drive, and then I imaged that flash drive. Now, in those iPhone images, there are GPS coordinates. And in law enforcement, or actually in any forensics investigation, when you discover GPS coordinates, it could be very significant. So we treat GPS coordinates very importantly, all right? And Autopsy has a really interesting feature that not just records the GPS coordinates, but we can actually map out the GPS coordinates where we can see a map. It also has a feature in which it can output the GPS coordinates to a KML file, and that KML file can then be used or imported into this program like Google Earth, and that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to go to my Autopsy case. All right, just make it a little bit bigger. And I've already created the case just to save some time. I've created the case. I have said one of the sources is that image file of the USB file, just to save time. I've already allowed it to compile or pull the particular information. So you've seen those in other videos. If I go to the file structure and I go to the images, I didn't do anything really significant with the USB drive. I really just wiped it out and copied a bunch of photos from my iPhone. And if I go and I look at them, give it a second, basically here are the photos from my iPhone. They're all JPEG. And if, it shows when they were taken in August 19th. There was no change time, no access time, or recent access, when I looked them up and things like that. Over here, we can see with these photos, we have the MD5 hash and the SHA-256 hash. This is not a hashing video, but it was kind of showing. And then if I bring up one of the photos, I'll just click on it. Try it again. And give it a second, the photo will pop up into the given screen. All right, we will see the photos, and that's a different topic about examining the actual content of the photos. We're just concerned about the GPS data. So if I go to the analysis results, it does show me the name of the file, but more importantly for this video, it's showing us the latitude and longitude of this particular image. So what I want to see, that's important stuff, is I want to see that mapped out. Where physically, because it's the old adage from as a kid, a picture is worth 1,000 words. If I look at these numbers, they're just numbers to me, right? And if I turn those numbers over to whatever authority that's looking, they're important numbers, but right at this point, they are just numbers to me. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to go through all these photos. I only picked a couple. I'm going to go to Geolocation, this button right here. And what that does, it's going to create a graphic of where those iPhone photos were taken. Give a little chance to, got the whole globe. And if I scroll over here, those photos, whoops, got a little bit too much. Those photos were taken in Tokyo, Saitama, Kyoto, Osaka. So the GPS, when I took those photos, the GPS said, now if I click on one of those markers, give it time. My phone is sorry, my computer is very slow. It shows me that image. This happens to be the image of the Godzilla at the Osaka Godzilla store. Yeah, there's actually a whole store dedicated to Godzilla. And if I start clicking on all these other photos, it shows me the images that are associated with those compass points, those GPS points. So this is a nice feature that is built directly into Autopsy to say, okay, we need graphical image of where these GPS coordinates were located. Now let's put that on Google Earth because yeah, we have a map here and stuff like that. But Google Earth is a really nice free tool on the internet. People use it all the time. It's comfortable. More importantly, it gives us a better perspective because we can actually see a satellite image. So if we look down here, you may not be able to see it. There is a button that says KML report, and that's going to generate a KML file that I can then upload to Google Earth. You know what? Let's bring up Google Earth. All right. And before we go any further, I am terrible with acronyms. I end up just using the acronyms all the time, and I don't think, what is KML? Well, let me bring up I'll say, what is a KML file? Let Google do the work. Keyhole markup language, right? Basically, it's a markup language. It is an XML notation, geographic locations, and stuff like that. So if anything, you kind of learn that. It's this keyhole markup language. Just, create something that we can use for geolocation. All right. Let me go back to, did I run the report? No. Let me hit the KML report. Because this is Autopsy, it has a certain file structure that it follows, and it's putting that file wherever the given report is, and I will show you where that is, but it's gonna create its own report, own KML report, fine. And if I go back to, are you? Too many images up here. If I go back to my case file and I go to the folder I created, Autopsy, and I have GPS images, it has its own little report folder, and it buries it pretty deep. There's those given files, and there is the KML report. So I can review those given files. These are just photos that I took on my trip to Japan. If you're interested, Japan, actually Kyoto, Japan, this image right here, I'll bring it up later on. Kyoto, Japan, they have a distinctive beer that they make out of green tea. And I know in the United States, the only time we see green beer is usually in March. But they actually it's produced all the time. It's an interesting taste, I'll say that. But it's actually a green, robust beer, very similar to a stout. But instead of a dark brown, it's a dark green. And then there's other beer samplings. Alrighty, so now, excuse me. Let's go to, we know what a KML file is. Let's go to Google Earth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a project. And all I did was click this button here. It says project. But I'm going to create a project. And let me see. Sorry. My screen is just a little bit too big. So it's not showing me everything. All right. I'm going to say open. Sorry, not create, but open, and I'm going to say import that KML file. And it's going to make me go out there and hunt that KML file. I happen to know where it's at. That's always a good thing. It's over here. Let it import. Give it a second. And there is, whoops, sorry. There is a little bit of a better graphics. People like to see satellite imagery. I remember that this had to deal with the what do you call it? The Godzilla store, the official Osaka Godzilla store. So let me zoom in on this. We shouldn't see the store because it was inside a building, but it's getting down pretty deep into the graphics, right? So it was in this particular building, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So what did we cover in this video? GPS coordinates are often very necessary, important in a forensics investigation. So many things now take GPS coordinates. For example, most phones will put a GPS coordinate inside the image. Cameras put it in there, but there's other technologies, not just images, that will put the GPS coordinates in there. So as we're investigating, let me go back to the screen real quickly, and let me go back to our program. It's such an important topic concerning GPS coordinates that they have a whole button dedicated to it. All right, this was one small deep dive into this program, and there will be other videos with other deep dives. So you've been handed a pretty decent tool. Let's go out and learn something.